doodle, and I'll show you my school doodle. School doodle, doodle, doodle. Scooby dooby dooby doo. Now show me your school doodle, and I'll show you my school doodle. School doodle, doodle, doodle.
Waka waka moo moo, waka waka moo moo, waka waka moo moo, waka waka. Waka waka moo moo, waka waka moo moo, waka waka moo moo, waka waka. Waka waka moo moo, waka waka moo moo, waka waka moo moo, waka waka. Waka waka moo moo, waka waka moo moo, waka waka moo moo, waka waka.
In a land where everything's about the waka, we learn and study with the waka. ABCs and the 1, 2, 3. Shapes and colors for you and me. We are one people in the land of the Waka. We are one people in the land of the Waka. Waka moo, waka waka moo, waka moo, waka waka moo.
As with parts of Africa, there was a time when the land of Aquaba had very little water and very little food.
Let me see that. We can eat it.
Should I try some?
Of course. Otherwise you'll starve. We should get some water.
No, I'm too thirsty. Where will we find water?
The two friends walked the plains to find some luck. As they searched, they came across a well.
Water!
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 Well, what are you just standing there for, my friend? Get in! Water!
The two friends drank from the well until they quenched their thirst. When they were done, the friends didn't know how to get out.
We're stuck.
Yelled the goat.
Stop it! We'll find a way out. Right. Lean against the wall here, so I get out first, then I'll pull you out.
Pull me up.
You never think ahead, do you? See ya!
No! Anansi! Get back here! Anansi!
Waka waka moo moo, waka waka moo moo, waka waka moo. Hello children. I am Waka Sibu. Today we're doing a little something different. We are going back in time. There lived a brave woman who stood up for many people and helped rescue people who were being treated bad. Can you guess if she was a queen or politician? Our public figure for today is Harriet Tubman. Waka waka moo!
Hi, my Waka friends. My story is set long time ago, way before your grandmother or grandmother were born. I was born in the year 1913 in a town called Auburn, which is in New York. Oh, New York is in the United States of America. Back to my story. My birth name is actually Araminta Rouse, but some people call me Minta or Moses. I am popularly known for being a humanitarian. Kids, a humanitarian is someone who believes that everyone's rights as a human being should be respected and all persons should be treated equally. I've had more than 13 missions of rescue to rescue people from slavery. A slave is someone who is being forced to work without any payment and is treated bad as if they are not equal human beings. I used safe houses called underground railways to free slaves. I was active in war, and I also participated in the struggle for women's suffrage. I had an adopted daughter called Getty. My parents were Harriet Green, whom I'm named after, and Ben Ross, my daddy. I had 4 sisters and 4 brothers, making me child number 8. Aside from being a humanitarian, I started off as a cook and then a nurse for the Union Army. I was the first woman ever to lead an army expedition in war which liberated more than 700 slaves. Kids, liberation or to liberate means to set free or to let go. My legacy lives on to this very day. I have a statue of me in Michigan. More than 12 schools are named after me. There's a Tubman Old Age Home. There's also a Harriet Tubman Museum in Cambridge. I have a ship named after me too. There's a Harriet Tubman stamp issued by the USA Postal Service. Well, that's all for my boyfriend. Remember to be brave and do good.
I am responsible for the things that I say. I am responsible for the things that I do. I am responsible. Even when I play, I am responsible. Wherever I go, I am responsible. For the things that I say, I am responsible. For the things that I do, I am responsible. Even when I play, I am responsible. Wherever I go, I am
This afternoon, I'm going to take you to my village in Okahanja district called Okanjira Inobitoto. That area is the source of Swakopmund River, where when it is flowing, the water actually starts from there, running all the way along all the way to Swakopmund. But the point that we are going to talk about has nothing to do with the river. It's not so much about the river, it's about wildlife. Wildlife in terms of the environment, where animals, birds are located, and how these animals interact with each other, how they work together, and how they compete with each other, competing over what to eat. For these animals, for birds to survive, they must have access to food, like human beings, like the rest of us, you and me. So, but they are important in our country. They are part and parcel of Namibia. They are here to stay like the rest of human beings are here to stay, to make a living, and simply to coexist by being together. We might not be living in same houses or same trees, mountains, but they are part of our life. Now, the story I'm going to tell you is something to do with being a little bit smart. Using your head, using your eyes to observe, to see what is happening around you in your environment so that you are better prepared. Sometimes when you are walking, when I was a little kid, I used to walk behind my grandmother in the village in Obitoto. I sometimes, when we were looking for goats, looking for cattle, I would simply walk conveniently behind her. Like basically, I could not be bothered about where we are going, as long as I just follow her footsteps. Because sometimes it can be so hot and the heat can be so overwhelming. So I would just do that. And one day, she just stopped. And since I was not even looking, as I was walking, I came and just hit her. And she said, "What are you doing? Are you looking where you're going?" I said, "Mommy, no, I'm not. It's too hot for me. I cannot take it anymore." I was about the age of 11, 12, 13 there. So she said to me, "No, you come in front and pick up a stick so that as you are walking, there might be something that might jump out of the bush. So you must be ready to defend ourselves. And you must also be interested in wildlife. Birds and animals are things that we need to discover them, find out, get to know their names, get to know what they do to survive and so on. It's something of interest. So you cannot be walking behind me blindly. You must discover the environment, wildlife, the wonderful thing that we see. And especially when we had a bit of rain, it can be exciting. Flowers blooming up and all those things. And one day when you're going to go to school, you want to become a geographer, you must be able to know what to study, why you should study geography. If you're going to be a biologist, you're going to be a doctor and things like that. All these things are linked to discover wildlife and to begin to appreciate that. But importantly, talking about wildlife, birds, we are being told it's important to be thoughtful. Begin to think about what is it that I'm seeing? What animals am I observing? What do they do to each other? How do they survive? What do they eat? It's like drawing up a list of things that we should begin to discover. And there is an old saying that I learned way back at school. It's an English expression. My teacher way back at secondary school used to play on these words. And sometimes words has got so many meanings. And one of them says, think before you speak. Think before you speak. You observe, you look at something, and you're trying to think about, what am I seeing? Is that something I've heard from a certain angle, from a certain auntie, from my mother, from my father, grandfather? And you said, oh, I know what that is sort of about. That is one. The other one, do not be unkind to anybody. Don't say anything that might hurt another child, another person. When you are given something, you say, but
Thank you.
all these things we learn, and they are important in shaping our lives. They actually prepare you for life for many years to come. They could be described as being a key that will help you to unlock many doors. Now, the other one, another English word, look before you leap. And I used to be a runner. I used to be a jumper. I used to compete in schools. Now, this expression is telling us before you leap from one point to another, you must look first. Why is that important? Because you never know where you're going to land. There could be anything harmful to you. There could be anything, and therefore you cannot just do it blindly. Bang. You can't do that. So we are being told, being advised to say, look before you leap from one point to another, because you never know what you might find on the ground on the other side. Leaping from one rock to a rock to another, or particularly in the village in Bitoto, we used to have, I told you about the river, and we used to have areas where you could leap into the river. Now, the soil down in the river, they must be soft, sufficient, so that you do not break your leg by jumping into a rock. Don't you think so? It makes sense, isn't it? All these things are basically what we now call common sense. You do them because they do make sense. Now, let's come to the story that we are going to talk about today. The story has something to do with a wolf. You have seen the wolf, isn't it? We have a picture here. You have seen it. It's a big animal that is solid, but it can run, but it cannot jump. It cannot actually fly. Huh? Then we talk about the eagle that we've seen here. So they all basically survive by helping themselves on particular food that they eat and so on. Now the wolf in some places is considered not to be too clever because it's a bit too cumbersome. It's a big animal. It moves with difficulty, and it can be seen far away that, oh, there comes the wolf, and everybody will run away from the wolf early enough. So the chances of the wolf getting sufficient food is not so high. But the eagle, on the other hand, is much more flexible. It can observe from the air, it can fly, it can see, and it can easily spot things on the ground, and it can simply come down with speed, zooming and pick up food, and flies on and enjoy the food on top of the highest tree there. So one day the wolf was observing the eagle doing all the things and so on. So the wolf could not find food for days and days, and started to follow the eagle and see where the eagle was going to land on a big tree. And there came the wolf, and stood behind by the bottom of the tree and started, "Hello there, my friend. Hello, eagle. I'm going to sing you a song, a beautiful song." And they both started to sing a song. And the eagle is busy eating. I'm sure when you're having your dinner, you don't want to be disturbed, isn't it? So they started eating and singing. So moved from a song to song. And the wolf for this occasion came up with a very amusing song. Bang, 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 bang. And so the eagle could not help but laughing at this song. In the process, the eagle's dinner fell all the way to the ground. And who was down there? The wolf grabbed it. Oh! The wolf did not say thank you to the eagle. He simply walked away conveniently to a nice spot. He started finishing this dinner. He said, "This is a perfect." The strategy and the way how the wolf started pushing his agenda to make sure he had a piece of food eventually worked. Now, when you hear a story like this, it makes you think, reflect, what is the meaning of this story? What am I learning? Because there are so many stories. I can tell you so many stories, particularly between the wolf and Jacob. There are many of them that were told over and over when we were little kids. But in every story, I think after hearing simply the description of what actually occurred, then we normally need to pause for a while and say, now, what did I learn from this? Considering we are looking at the wolf, we are looking at the eagle. The wolf is a big animal. Obviously, there are limitations to the wolf in terms of accessing food. The eagle is much more flexible with a full speed. They can actually sit and watch what's happening and fly in and grab whatever they can and enjoy it. But then both the eagle is much more clever and well equipped. But I think the moral line of the story is telling us is that we need sometime you can have all the wings and the powers flying, but sometimes it is important to use words. How you convey, put words together and say something to someone can be equally effective to make the person starting laughing, because the eagle was amused by this story and could not help but laughing, and sometimes forgetting that by laughing the food the eagle was eating fell out of the mouth. Huh? So I think that is something to think about. The eagle is very effective, is very powerful, it has got the flexibility of doing whatever, but words, when they are put together in the most effective way, can become even more powerful. Yeah? That's the end of the story. You are the ambassadors of promoting early childhood education, helping our little kids to open their eyes and enjoy the opportunity of accessing education as early as possible. Unlike some people, particularly people of my generation, who have to go to school much later. And today, the key is a question of accessing education. Everything involves around being better prepared and be knowledgeable about things around yourself, around your neighborhood, in order to add value to the development of our country. Our country needs you to be in school, to be better prepared so that you can actually serve Namibia as time goes on. When we move on, the rest of you move in and continue where we are going to leave things to take this country forward. So enjoy education, value education, and remember the story of the eagle and the bull.